Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. The Blitzball Champ is here and back at you with a brand new video here on YouTube. So, going to be covering week 6 of the Carolina Panthers 2019's NFL season. So, let's get started. So, week 6 was the big London game between the Carolina Panthers and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This was the first time overseas, but this is the second matchup of the year between these two teams. As we look back, they had faced each other in week 2 in Carolina, where Tampa Bay got the victory. But this time around in the big London game, Carolina got the victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by a score of 37-26. Let's kind of break down some of this game and just like look at some of the things that happened. We'll start with Kyle Allen. He was 20 of 32, 227 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and of course, no interceptions. So, once again, another pretty good game for Kyle Allen. Did a good job of taking care of the football and, not making any interceptions, making good reads on his throws. I do feel like in this game there were a lot of dropped passes, though, from the receivers. I feel like there was a good handful of those where Kyle Allen put the ball in the right spot, but receivers just couldn't make the catch. But Kyle Allen still did a good job in spreading the ball around between DJ Moore, Greg Olsen, Christian McCaffrey, Curtis Samuel. The 2 passing touchdowns, one was to Christian McCaffrey and one was to Curtis Samuel. In which Christian McCaffrey, even though did get a receiving and rushing touchdown, Christian McCaffrey was pretty much shut down throughout the game, especially on the run game and the passing game. Christian McCaffrey had 22 carries, only 31 yards. So Bucs defense did do a good job of shutting down and containing. I mean, maybe not completely shut down because he still got a receiving touchdown and a rushing touchdown, but at least did a good job of containing him and really stopping him from really being super productive. So, got to give kudos to the Tampa Bay defense on that. But if you ask me, I feel like the defense shined the brightest from the first snap of the game, which of course the first snap of the game was an interception by James Bradbury, but we had 7 total turnovers caused by the Carolina defense. 5 of those being interceptions, 2 of those being fumbles. So not only that, but they were able to get the Jameis Winston and sack him 7 times. That's right, 7 sacks, 7 turnovers, 2 fumbles, and 5 interceptions. The defense was hungry. They were on fire in this game. Now, overall, Jameis Winston did have 400 yards passing, and the receiver that had the best game was Chris Godwin with 10 receptions and 151 yards receiving. But overall, most of the touchdowns that Tampa Bay got were rushing touchdowns. So, yeah, that was the only thing with that. But overall, they were all over Jameis Winston, causing turnovers. Looking at the turnovers, we had a fumble recovery by Jordan Scarlett, fumble recovery by Bruce Irvin, Um, as for the sacks, we had 2.5 sacks from Gerald McCoy. So Gerald McCoy showed up against his old team. Um, a half of a sack by Bruce Irving, 2 sacks by Vernon Butler. He's really starting to step it up. This is his contract year, and Vernon Butler's he's starting to step it up, especially in place of K1 Short, who's out for the season. So gotta give some kudos to Vernon Butler. He's stepping it up. See, Brian Burns got a sack. Don Terry Poe got a sack. So there's a good spread there. James Bradbury was the leading tackler in the game. Um, and the interceptions, we had 2 from James Bradbury. We had 1 from Ross Cockrell, 1 from Luke Kuechly, and 1 from Javian Elliott. So really a good variety there. Really good variety. But and of course the one turnover that Tampa Bay got was kick, the muff punt return from Ray McLeod, which Carolina did end up waiving Ray McLeod, which doesn't surprise me. I didn't really think he was that productive anyway. But but yeah, that's 4 wins in a row. Carolina started 0-2, and they are now 4-2 going into the bye week. And all 4 wins, Kyle Allen was the quarterback. Now, now that I got that out the way, there's a few things to kind of talk about and touch bases on. So, one of the big headlining pieces of news for Carolina Panthers fans is that Cam Newton is expected to return to practice after the bye week. So apparently reports are saying that his foot is healing well and nicely. So he's expected to be back in practice the week after the bye. Now, the Carolina Panthers have to face the currently undefeated San Francisco 49ers after the bye week in San Francisco. So here's the thing. There's a couple of things that we have to put into perspective because the big question is, will Cam Newton get his starting quarterback job back after he is cleared and is healthy to play again? This is tough. This is tough. Um, but there's a few things that have to put into perspective. Now, this is me personally speaking on how I feel about this. Now, first off, I'm all for riding the hot hand. Don't get me wrong, I'm all for riding the hot hand. Kyle Allen has, come in as the starter and has played well. He's played well. You know, yes, I know he hasn't thrown any interceptions. His throws have been really good, but he's also had what, six or seven fumbles. So that's something that can't be ignored. That's that's one thing. That's something that can't be ignored. Um, Now a win is a win, but some would argue, look at the teams that he's gone up against. So the 4 wins were against Tampa Bay, Houston Texans, Jacksonville Jaguars, Arizona Cardinals. Um, some would say in that group that really probably the only like true tough team was maybe the Houston Texans, but I think the Jaguars were pretty tough too. They're usually pretty tough, especially on the defensive side of things. But some would say that you know Kyle Allen hasn't really you know faced against any strong teams. And the 49ers will be a clear example of that. I get it, but at the end of the day, you're supposed to get wins. You're supposed to go out and get wins no matter who you're going up against. I mean, just because you're going up against a team that's weak doesn't mean you're supposed to take it easy on that team. This is a regular season you're trying to play to get a playoff spot, to play for a championship. So you don't take it easy on any team. Um, Also, we have to also keep in mind, yes, Kyle Allen's done a good job. You know, the team has been winning. He hasn't thrown any interceptions. But you cannot sit there and say that this is all because of Kyle Allen. No, no. I highly disagree with that. You have to also factor in Christian McCaffrey, who's been carrying the load as well, and also this Carolina Panthers defense. Those are two big factors in helping this team on this 4 game win streak. Now, I'm going to be real. You take Christian McCaffrey away, do you really see Kyle Allen and the offense still being as successful? Because let's remember, the only real blowout game that Kyle Allen has had was the 4 touchdown game against Arizona. So I mean you got to look at things as they are, and we have to be realistic about this. We're thinking that Kyle Allen's evolved into some star player. Yeah, you've got to be freaking joking me. Now, I'll admit, I said that if the Panthers would go 4-2 into the bye week under Kyle Allen, I would feel a lot more confident about him. You know, don't fix what ain't broken, and I stick to that. I do stick to that. But my issue is this: if y'all don't feel that Cam Newton deserves to at least come back and try to earn his starting position again, that's crazy. I think it's so unfair to write somebody off after an injury because the facts and the numbers speak for himself. Those like 0 and 8 games, or the 8 straight losses, 8 or 9, it was one of the two. Cam wasn't healthy. Cam wasn't healthy. Not only that, not all of those losses were on Cam. Offensive line struggled, and the defense struggled with the run defense and the deep ball. Let's not even act like none of those issues were present. Let's be real. But the last time Cam Newton was healthy, the team was 6-2, and he was showing MVP like numbers. And that was a season ago. I get the whole "what have you done for me lately?" I get it. Don't get me wrong. I get it. But he at least deserves an opportunity to get his starting job back. Now, if you ask me, I honestly say that I would not consider putting Cam back in the game until maybe week 9 or 10. Or if you really want to be safe, maybe December. But I do feel like he deserves to come back in as a starter before the end of the season. And there's a couple of other things we got to think about as well. You know, Thankfully, Kyle Allen, has had the support of, Christian McCaffrey, Carolina Panthers defense. But right now, so far, we haven't seen Kyle Allen in a position where he's had to make a comeback win or, play catch up or play from behind. We haven't seen that yet. And there's no guarantee that, he can keep this up throughout the season and we never see that this season. There's no guarantee for that. Let's be real. It's going to get tougher. And one of those tough tests is coming up in 2 weeks against the 49ers. So we have to stop kidding ourselves and making it seem like Kyle Allen is now this superstar quarterback now just because he's 5-0 as a starter and he hasn't thrown a pick yet. Like, let's not forget what Cam has done. And realistically, you really can't compare the two. You really can't. You really can't. So, I don't know. That's just my personal take on it. But all those that have been paying attention, like really have been paying attention, know what Cam can do when he's healthy. And at the end of the day, we'll just have to see how things go. Ron Rivera won't really give a real update on what's going to happen, but they're going to have a big decision to make, especially long term. Because I believe Cam Newton, his last year is 2020, and will they re-sign him? Will they trade him? Will they let him go? Because realistically, there are tons of teams out there that could use a quarterback like Cam Newton. Let's not even kid ourselves. But Kyle Allen does deserve to get paid. If he has this kind of season, like the way he's playing throughout the rest of this season, then yeah, he deserves to get paid. Definitely. Definitely. But Cam Newton is still the franchise quarterback. For now, sure. But he's still the franchise quarterback. And I feel like he has to make proof that he can still play and be effective and of course, be able to run again, from this injury, because that's going to be tested too. And he should really be able to utilize his dual threat skills in order to be effective. But he does deserve that opportunity. To write somebody off like that after injury, all just because he's had 0-8 starts when he was injured, when he was not healthy the whole time, no, I think that's so unfair. I think that's so unfair. I mean, I know some people have talked about, the whole Teddy Bridgewater in New Orleans being a similar situation. And no, I'm not comparing Cam Newton to Drew Brees. But, I mean, who's to say the same thing can't happen? They've been winning with Teddy Bridgewater. If they keep winning and winning until Drew Brees come back, do they put Drew Brees back in? Yeah, I understand it's two different players, but it's the same scenario. It's pretty much the same scenario. I'm just being realistic. Folks are so quick to write off Cam Newton. You know, from an injury, I just think that's jacked up, and it's really really unfair. I mean, I could understand him playing badly and him getting benched. The dude is injured. The dude has not been healthy. Hadn't been healthy. I mean, and if folks can't put two and two together, especially seeing that the decline happened after taking the hit in the Steelers game when the losing streak started, if that's not enough evidence to show that he was not healthy and that he had been hurt, and add on the first two games of the season when he got hurt in the third game of the preseason and couldn't run like he usually does, I mean, come on, guys. Come on now. I'm just saying. But anyway, Carolina Panthers organization have a big decision to make. They got a big decision to make going forward for the future, and they got the bye week, to think about what they're gonna do. But the fact of the matter is, the second half of the season, may be tough, and their big test is coming up against the 49ers. That's going to be a difficult game, and it's in San Fran. That's going to be a difficult game. Let's be real. But that's all that I have. Comments, likes, subscribe. Y'all know the deal. Thank y'all so much for watching. This is Blitzball. Blitzball Champ signing off. Y'all take care. Be blessed. I'll see y'all later.